What do you call two guys that were there when this happened?
Back to return at Spurlock. Michael Spurlock at the 10. He's to the 20. He's to the 25. For the 30. To the 40-yard line. We could see history. 50, 40, to the 30-yard line. Run, Michael, run, Michael, run, Michael, run. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. There you go.
And that.
Shotgun set. 3 receivers left. And here's the snap, and the blitzer is picked up. Brady underneath. Caught ball, Evans. He has the record at the 11-yard line. Mike Evans becomes the first NFL player in league history to record 1,000 yards or more in his first 7 seasons and want to throw by Brady. Congratulations, Mike Evans.
Who can forget?
Gannon looking, Gannon throws up the middle. That's intercepted at the 30. Derek Brooks, 30. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Derek Brooks, the most valuable player in the National Football League. There it is. The dagger's in. We're going to win the Super Bowl. Here's the snap. Mahomes running to his right. Look out. He may run. Mahomes directly. Oh, throw the end down. Battle intercepted. Picked off in the end zone. Bucs are going to beat the Chiefs. We're the champions of the world, and we still have 1:33 to go. Devin White, what a great second season. That's it for KC. Bucs are the Super Bowl champs. They can't stop the clock.
We call them the Salty Dogs.
Welcome, everybody, to the Salty Dogs podcast. I am Scott Smith.
I'm Jeff Ryan.
And we are the Salty Dogs.
A little salty this week.
We're a little salty.
But
we'll be okay.
I kind of like what Todd Bowles said.
Go ahead.
It's a clunker.
It was a clunker. You can't deny it when it happens.
No.
You look bad. Try to claim it wasn't.
Anyway, I think the anticipation of the creamsicles coming back, the whole I thought the stadium looked awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. It was a good-looking game.
It was a great-looking game. It was a game up until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the Bucs just never got their offense into gear, so the defense kept them in the game.
Yep.
But in the end, they just couldn't do anything.
Yeah,
it was a lot of missed opportunities. The game could have been a lot different. But that's not excuses. They didn't execute. They didn't execute on those opportunities, but they were there.
They were there to be taken.
I think I usually hear. Oh, well, first of all, before we get going, we'll answer some fan questions at the end. And anytime you want to send us questions, you can email them to us at saltydogs@buccaneers.nfl.com.
Yep.
Okay. I usually at the top ask you what your favorite thing you saw during game day. I'm going to start, however, with my least favorite thing.
Was
Isaiah Bugg's hand thrown up at the last minute to deflect that pass that Baker was trying to throw to Mike.
That was a touchdown.
So
if it was caught.
I'm sure most of the people listening to this probably watched the game. Mm-hmm. And if you did, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was early in the first quarter. Was it 3-0 or 0-0?
It was 3-0, I believe.
Oh no, I think it was 0-0 because I think they got a field goal off of this play.
Oh, because of the turnover?
Yeah.
No, I thought was the deflection. Yes.
Here, I got to play right here.
Yeah. And they held them to 3 points.
Yeah, which was good. Which was good.
Great.
Yeah. So it was 0-0. Each team had one drive that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And got around midfield. So the Bucs have the ball. They just get it at their own 8 because of a pretty good punt by the other guy. And as an aside, isn't it nice to, in almost every game we play, to have clearly the best punter?
Yes.
The better punter.
You learn to appreciate it when you see the others, yes.
Well, no, there's a lot of really good punters in the league, and it's been, before we drafted Jay Camarda, it had been a while since we had the guy that in every game you think, I think our punter's better than their punter.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he had a very good game too, by the way. But Baker, he's starting to move a little bit. He's looking around, and you can see by the way that he throws his pass that he catches a glimpse of Mike Evans, who has gotten behind the defense,
right,
behind everybody by a good amount, and like Baker's release was so quick, that his eyes must have lit up when he looked over there and saw Mike not only open but behind everybody, and he threw the pass really fast, like a real quick release, and maybe he needed to get a little more air underneath it.
I think all day he needed to get air underneath the ball.
So it got batted and intercepted. If you watch the game, you have your own opinion, but I think I agree with Jeff that would have been a 92-yard touchdown.
Yeah. No, it was there for the taking. You know what's so crazy? I did not see that play live.
Oh, boy.
I put my head down because it was, the
punt,
everything got done, and I was looking to see where we were commercial-wise.
Oh, okay.
And I put my head down, and the next thing I hear is, oh, and I went, like, what happened? What happened? And then I saw it on replay. But
so
it looked just as bad on replay as it did, just so you know.
Disappointing would be what it was, because
Very
what it
much
could have
so.
been. Yeah, I looked it up on NFL Next Gen stats. You can go in there and pick any play. You can watch a replay of it, and they also have the thing where it's just the X's and O's moving around because all the players were trackers.
Now you have to tell everybody when you look at Next Gen stats, don't you have to subscribe to it?
Oh yeah, I mean
Right.
there's a Next Gen site that the public can get to, but to get the really good stuff, you have to subscribe to it.
Can anybody?
I think so, but I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's probably, I would assume it's like the same kind of model as like things like Pro Football Focus, where they're in the discussion and you can subscribe to it. It's usually not cheap. You can get some info without the subscription, but if you want the really good stuff.
Yeah, and save yourself some money. Just listen to Scott.
So I did the play, and I used the little dots as they were moving around, and you can connect,
Connect the dots?
Well, you can connect the dots. You can select two different dots, which represent players, and the entire time they're connected as a play goes, it'll tell you the separation between those two. At the moment, and I don't remember what the name of the defender was, probably a safety. At the moment that ball is tipped, I froze it right there. Mike is about 7.5 yards clear of the safety, but more importantly, the safety was facing towards the quarterback. So Mike would have had time to catch the ball, and he would have still had room before that guy could have reacted. So it becomes a foot race at that point, and I don't know how much faster or slower that DB would have been than Mike. And maybe he doesn't make it all the way. Maybe it's like the Vincent Jackson play of a few years ago.
Gets all the way to the end.
But it was going to be a big play, and it might have been a 92-yard touchdown.
Yeah. And even though it was intercepted and then the Buck defense held the 3, I thought, okay, this is a good sign. This is a really good sign. You took their Mo away.
Yeah, that was
things
good.
Things are gonna be okay.
Really, the defense and special teams played pretty well for most of the game.
Unreal.
They didn't do one thing well. There was one thing they didn't do well, I should say, and that was get off the field on third downs.
Correct.
At the end of the game, and at the same time, the Bucs offense couldn't do anything on third down. So you see the biggest start. This game was won on third downs. I think it's clear.
Yep.
The Bucs converted 2 of 12, and the Lions converted 9 of 16. But to your point that this game was close for a long time, at some point about midway or a little bit later in the second quarter, both the Bucs and the Lions were 2 of 6 on third downs. So it was two defenses pretty much stymieing two offenses.
Right.
So if you look at that, you go, the Bucs were 2 of 6 and finished 2 of 12. They never got another third down conversion the rest of the way.
Right.
Meanwhile, the Lions were 2 of 6 and finished 9 of 16, which means they were 7 of 10 the rest of the way, and that was the story.
Yeah, and the fact that the Lions hit on 2 big plays.
On third down. Both touchdowns came on third and long.
The touchdown where he runs it in, what was it, third and whatever, and he ends up running it in. But that was a freak play. I mean, that was good execution on the Lions' part for doing a great block. I mean,
not just one, but another one you're talking about.
If that block doesn't happen, that's a loss, and it's over,
A loss.
All right, well, it's I don't think would he have gotten to the first down before he made the block? I'm not so sure.
If you're talking about the really big block by Craig Reynolds on Carlton Davis, he already had a first down by that point, but they had a series of blocks as he ran across the field. Whether it was execution, Todd Bowles said that on both touchdown passes there were busts.
Yeah.
By which means,
and that's not good.
By which he means a busted assignment by one or more of the defenders.
Yep.
Watching it live as just a fan, not knowing exactly what both teams were trying to do, that one just looked like a really well executed play by Detroit, and they are a very good team.
Very good team. Exciting for them.
But at the end, I doubt it was drawn up for the running back from way back there to come flying in and flatten a corner at the exact perfect time. That block by Craig Reynolds.
That's a heads-up play on his
it's
part.
Getting him all kinds of play on the airways, too, as well it should.
Yeah.
So he not only did he take out Carlton, and you can't blame Carlton because you probably never saw him coming.
He didn't.
But he knocked Carlton into Antoine's path, and Antoine couldn't get to Amon-Ra, and so he was able to dance all the way into the end zone.
Yeah. So, I mean, they made the plays.
And then the other one, it was 3rd and 14, I believe, and there clearly was a bust on that one.
Yep.
when you hear that and you see that the closest defender is Ryan Neal, as just a fan, you want to say it was probably Ryan Neal, and maybe it was, but it sounded like Todd said there were multiple busts.
Yeah, it sounded like.
And lots of times when a safety is the one who's like flailingly trying to get back, it's not always his fault. He's just.
That's why he's the safety. If everything else goes wrong, he's supposed to take care of it.
So he didn't get there, or he actually was pretty close, but he didn't get his head around. Didn't know the ball was coming.
That was a great catch, though.
It was great body control because he basically spun like 270 degrees.
Yep.
This is Jamison Williams, the second-year guy, the guy they took early in the first round last year, but had injury concerns. Well, he had an injury from his last college game, and then he had the suspension to start this season.
And he performed well here.
Yeah, he has hardly had any catches so far in his career, but that one was huge. So, third downs were the problem, and that is obviously something that needs to improve.
Yeah, and I find it fascinating how large the pendulum swings from.
Doesn't a pendulum swing far?
Well, this one is like off the charts from.
I meant far rather than large.
Oh, that's true. Dave Canales, a few weeks ago, there were people talking about, hey, he could be a next head coach. And this week, what are you doing? You're an inexperienced play caller. And it is early. And who knows where it's going to go. So it truly is a week-to-week league. And I guess as a fan, that makes it fun. I'm not so sure if it makes it fun for coaches.
Well, I think that's why they try to block out the noise.
Yeah.
Because, you're a genius one week and you don't know what you're doing.
And you're
next.
The same guy, right?
Right.
But, sometimes but I kind of like when we started, I said that Todd made the comment, it was a clunker and this is it, no excuses. I like the fact that Baker Mayfield he made zero excuses. In fact, he said, I sucked. That's pretty much how he started his press conference. In the locker room, our interviews that we were getting after the game, talking to offensive players, they were all like, the defense did their job.
Yeah.
They really stepped up. They kept us in the game. We didn't do our part.
That happens.
But I like the fact that they are acknowledging it because you and I both know we've been around where teams aren't acknowledging that they're not doing their part.
Oh.
So that's that. Now, if you acknowledge it, can you fix it?
Right.
And I guess that'll be the question on Sunday.
That's what internally the coaches and players believe. That's what, if you're outside the building,
you don't.
You have to be convinced of it.
Right. Right.
We have to show that we can do that.
But this is the same team that everyone thought wasn't going to be very good, and then they showed some goodness, and so it's back and forth. But it's 5 games in. Still in the NFC South, and I know everyone's going to go thinking, it's a slacky division, but there aren't very many 3-2 teams, really. I don't think.
Well,
I was
in the conference,
just in the
NFC,
in all of the NFL.
Oh, well, there's how many? You mean 3-2 specifically?
Yeah, 3-2 specifically.
Well, the only way you could do that is if you're one of the teams that's already had a bye. And the majority of the teams haven't had a bye yet.
Well, that's true.
But in any case, Pittsburgh and Cleveland are 3-2.
Mm-hmm. And everybody's excited about Cleveland because why?
Their defense is so good.
And they beat the 49ers.
Oh, yeah. We're 3-2, and Seattle's 3-2.
Okay.
But there's a number of 3-3 and 4-2 teams.
Sure.
You know what? One weird little thing, as long as you have me talking about
numbers,
standings right now, is I just had to look this up for something else. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 teams right now that are over 500.
Oh.
13 out of 32.
Wow.
That's because there's a number of 3-3 teams.
Yeah,
so
but still.
There's 13 teams that are over 500. There's only one that has a losing record at home.
That's us.
Yeah.
We're a road team.
You're going to have to win some home games at some point.
Yeah, usually, if you win 6 at home and 4 on the road, that's 10. So...
Yeah,
you've
but
got
6 means if we win 6 home games, that means we're going to win all the rest of them.
We got to get on a streak.
It is. Yeah. I looked at it. You got to at least have a winning record at home. The Buccaneers have never made the playoffs with a sub 500 record at home games. Which makes sense because if you're sub 500 at home, you're probably not great overall.
Right.
But. Even last year, when we made the playoffs with an 8-9 record, we were 5-4 at home.
Yeah,
and that counts, I think, That might count the Munich game though, because we were technically the home team in that game.
We were.
So maybe I don't know if that was counted in there. So maybe we were only 4-4.
I think it does count as a home game because it is your ninth. That was our ninth home game last year.
Yeah. Okay. I lost my train of thought there. Yeah. So this is good podcasting. Right
one of the things that I just happened to think about as you were talking is that in the next 9 days, a lot can change in the next 9 days.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy.
You say 9 because we're playing Buffalo.
Yes, a week from Thursday.
So you got the 2 games really close to each other.
Yeah, and when you were talking about being under 500 or being 500, winning at home, I mean, a lot can happen. And that's the – I guess I want to say it's the fun part about the NFL, that no one's really ever out, but – boy, it sure is an emotional roller coaster.
I feel like Carolina at 0-6.
Well, I didn't want to bring them up. I don't like the reason on somebody who's already down.
I just said what their record was.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything bad about them. I said what their record was.
Yeah, but 0-6, where are you going?
0-6, I said they probably are out of it. They're not technically out of it. No. Obviously, they could win 10 in a row or 11 in a row.
Yeah.
But I would be willing to bet I could take a moment here and look up what happened to every 0-6 team in NFL history.
I don't think they ever made the playoffs.
I think 0-4 is
San Diego Chargers was the last one at 0-4, and I wanted that, and they went to the Super Bowl as a matter of fact again, and they lost.
Well, yeah. What I was going to say before all of this was this is our this home game here is the last in a run of 4 games at home in a 5-game span.
Yeah,
and we've lost 2 of those. We really need to get another home notch in our belt because 4 of the next 5 and 6 of the next 8 are all on the road.
Yeah. And the 6 of the next 8 just
crazy, isn't
it? I was looking at that last night. I was like, dang.
Those types of notes are a little easier to come across nowadays that there's a 17th game because every other year you have 9 road games.
Yeah.
And so that sounds unfair, but every team in the NFC has 9 road games. Every team in our division has 9 road games. Not every team in our division has to play at San Fran and at Buffalo, though. So
no,
and at Green Bay,
yeah. But you know what? If you can pull it off, those are quality wins, and it shows that all those teams have lost a game, and all those teams have lost games that everyone thought they were going to win. And that was the 49ers against Cleveland. No one really was, unless you lived in Cleveland, you thought the Browns were going to pull that one off. Buffalo is kind of up and down. You know,
they're surprisingly so.
And then Green Bay, aren't they on a 2-game losing streak?
Yeah, they're started out good.
Yeah, so you just don't know. But
then again, Houston's doing better than expected. And they're on our schedule as well,
and they are playing well. Yeah, this game coming up. It's our NFC South game. It's an important game. It's worth 2. You don't want to lose 2 in a row. You know, we've talked about that many times. You know, because that's called a streak. So hopefully. The clunkiness is gone. How's that? The clunkerness?
Where does that term derive from?
But it being a clunker?
What's a clunker? Is that like a car that's bad?
Usually a car that was bad, you'd call it a clunker. But I guess
right,
it's
so we
just
probably need to clean out the carburetor or something, right?
Well,
when I was a kid,
I think we need to put new wheels on it to get a little speed in the running game. I think that's what we need.
You're really trying to spruce up this metaphor,
huh?
Aren't you? Or simile or whatever.
I'm going with it, right?
When I was a kid, my mom had do you remember Plymouth Horizons?
I do.
They kind of were like almost like a square.
Yep.
It was canary yellow.
Those were K cars. They were called
cars.
Yeah, that was what they were termed, K cars. The style. Continue.
Really? Like Dodge Omni? Mm-hmm. They were the exact same car.
Yeah, everything was square.
Anyway, they were very, very ugly.
Yes.
And this one was bright yellow. But, single mom, working 2 jobs, she was doing
what she had to do.
That car was having engine problems for a while. And it was around when I was starting to drive. And what I had to do, it would die. It would stall.
Yeah.
And the way to get it started was to pour gas
into the
carburetor.
All right.
I don't have any idea why this is true because I know nothing about engines.
Probably had a bad fuel pump.
Well, whatever. So it would work. You'd pour the gas in the carburetor and then you could start the car.
It's called priming it.
Okay.
Yeah. You were priming.
You don't do that in modern cars, do you?
No, because modern cars don't have carburetors anymore.
They don't have carburetors?
No,
cars don't have carburetors?
No, they're fuel injected.
Holy cow! I did not know that. So it's like an appendix.
Now my I have one car with a carburetor.
Well, you're the white stallion.
Yeah, the white stallion, or the Pegasus is
Pegasus.
Yes.
Are you talking about the winged horse?
Yes. Jason Wallers used to call that
the Pegasus.
The Pegasus, yes.
That's a what year?
81. So yes, cars nowadays do not have carburetors. But anyways,
hey, I learned something. I wonder if anybody listening also didn't know that, or if I'm the only dummy.
No. I mean, but I understand what you're going through, and I guess a clunker was a term. I always remembered a clunker.
That was a
car.
clunker.
It was always falling apart, or something's wrong with it. It's a clunker. Get rid of it.
That actually happened on my driving exam. The car died on my driving exam. I had to get out and prime the carburetor on my driving exam.
Well, that's why you passed, because you.
I passed by 1 point.
Hey, listen.
I was a good test taker, but apparently not at driving.
I was going to say driving doesn't have style points, but it probably does, because if you're banging around in this stuff and still pass, that's not good.
Now, as anybody who knows me would attest, since then I have proved to be a very good driver.
Yeah.
For some reason, when I make that claim, people around here tend to disagree with me.
Because,
I'm a good driver.
Let me put it to you this way. You're on the inside of your vehicle, so you think you're a good driver.
Yeah,
if I'm standing on the outside of your vehicle and see you go by, not so much.
I can see through my windows, and here's what I would say. 90% of the people on the road are terrible drivers.
Yes.
Terrible.
Especially in Florida.
So just by being aware and decent, you're in the upper echelon of drivers. Yeah. Around here, at least.
Yeah, around here.
Anybody that's listening to this, you're in the 10% that's good.
Yeah.
You're present company excluded.
Yeah. People in Florida drive with the turn signals on, and it doesn't necessarily mean they're turning, and it also doesn't mean if the left's on that they're actually going to go left.
It doesn't necessarily mean that they're old people either, because young people do it too.
Yes, it's horrible.
Yeah.
You got to be a defensive driver.
Yeah, and it's epidemic, the people that look at their phones when they're driving.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to you right now that I do not do that.
At lights?
No, if you're stopped at a light, I'm cool with it. I mean, obviously it's annoying if they don't go because they're looking at a phone.
Right.
What I'm talking about is the people who you're behind them and they're straying across the lanes, so you pass them, and sure enough, they're looking at their phone.
There's nothing that important that you have to answer while you're driving.
There isn't.
And I have a tendency to
public service announcement.
When it does buzz, I have a tendency to glance.
It's human nature,
and because it sits in the console. But
you don't pick it up till you get to a light.
Correct.
Or maybe you don't even do it then.
I'm getting very good at not looking at my phone. In fact, sometimes it's annoying to people because, I'm lost if I'm in a car, I'm just not answering.
It's better than dying in a car wreck.
Well, there's that, right?
And killing somebody else, too.
Exactly.
Don't look at your phones while driving.
Out of all the things that I thought we were going to talk about, this was not one of them.
I didn't know. Yeah, carburetors.
Really?
Wasn't expecting carburetors.
Yeah, there you
go. The run defense was great in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit came in averaging 141. I mean, it didn't help Detroit that they lost David Montgomery to injury, but even then, we were bottling him up, too.
Wait, that was a weird injury.
Ribs, right?
Yeah.
He fell on the ball.
And then got pounced on.
Yeah, that happens.
Which is fair. It was a fair hit. Their running game, gosh, they're down to – they had a practice squad guy that they elevated in that game at the very end.
Divine Ozigbo.
I believe so.
Divine Ozigbo.
Which is nothing wrong with a practice squad player. That's why you're on the. Yeah. That's why you're around. But I'm just saying they've dropped down. They've had injuries at the running back category.
A lot of teams have. I mean, look at the 49ers with McCaffrey.
That's a big hit for them.
The Dolphins with Achane, the rookie who was doing so good.
He was doing so well. Yes.
The Rams lost several guys, and so that's why Kyron Williams was playing. Mm-hmm. If you probably hadn't heard of him before this year, or I hadn't. I think he might even be a rookie.
Sure.
He was doing great, and then now I believe he's hurt, and they just re-signed Darrell Henderson, who they previously had with them.
Yeah.
Barkley was hurt for a while.
Right. Yeah, he looked good in the.
On a couple plays.
But they were big plays.
They were big plays.
Yeah.
As somebody who had him starting for his fantasy team, I was hoping for more of those earlier. But he kind of ended up with a decent number.
Yeah.
Jeff loves fantasy football. If this is your first time listening, two things. We can never keep a train of thought, and we go off on tangents, and Jeff loves fantasy football.
Yeah.
Those are both facts.
Live for it.
Facts.
Yeah.
Continue. So the run defense was great. One of the reasons I think that the run defense got better is Kalijah Kancey played a full game.
Yeah, you read my mind. I was just about to say, what were your thoughts on him?
Like I was talking to Rondé Barber earlier today.
All right. Name dropper.
I know. He told me while watching the game that he thought Kancey was having a great game.
Uh-huh.
there are times when I watch a game when I don't necessarily notice one specific player. I mean, if it's a receiver catching a ton of passes or something, yes.
Right.
But he said he had a terrific game. The stats tell me that he had a terrific game.
The stats say he has a terrific game.
According to NFL Next Gen stats, he had 6 quarterback pressures on 28 pass rush snaps.
Which is pretty strong.
That's very good. It's the most in a single game by a rookie that they've tracked or tied for the most in the last 5 years.
And he had a sack.
If you combine in the 11 snaps, of which 9 were pass rushes in the Minnesota game, he has about 37 pass rush snaps and a win rate, pressure rate of 18.9% so far. It's a small sample size, don't get me wrong, but right now that's second in the league among any guys with at least 30 pass rush snaps.
Teams are going to have to start game planning.
And that was the whole idea, right?
Which is perfect because you can game plan all you want. But there's another guy over there you got to worry about. That was the
whole idea. They've been game playing for Vita Vea all this time. Now, how do you game plan for both of these guys, particularly when their games are so different? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what they were trying to do when they drafted.
So much for a small guy.
Yeah. No, there's those. I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, he plays big.
Yeah, the scouting reports from those who did not think Kalijah would
make it to the NFL or should be in the first round.
Those scouts who, and hey, we're
early.
We're 1.5 games into his career, so we're not making any proclamations. Just saying, of the scouting reports of the scouts and analysts who didn't think Kalijah would be a first round pick or should be, they said he was too small and that his arms were too short, so he didn't have the reach to make up for his lack of size.
Right.
Height.
Yes.
The other ones, like apparently, obviously, our scouts would say, doesn't matter. He's so explosive. Mm-hmm. And early on, that side looks correct, but it's way, way too early to make any proclamation.
Right.
But it's a good start. Well, it's promising.
Well, that's just it. He played 11 snaps in Minnesota. He gets to play this game, played the full game, and he played well. And so you go, the arrow is pointing up.
Right.
So that is a plus. And it was fun to watch.
And so the run defense held Detroit to its lowest total in a game since week 6 in 2021. Mm-hmm. Held them to 1.8 yards per carry. Sometimes those numbers are artificially depressed by a bunch of kneel downs for a winning team, but there was only one kneel down by Goff, and it was only for 1 yard. That's a big bird.
That's a crow, just kind of.
That's a giant crow.
Wow. What? There must
sitting
be
on a little ledge outside
There
my
must
window.
be something about a crow in the window. What does that mean?
A crow in the window?
Yeah.
Do you know what a group of crows is called?
A flock.
A murder. A murder of crows.
Really?
Yeah. Look at this thing going.
You can hear him.
He's looking at us.
That's what I'm saying.
He's aggressive.
Very.
There's often two. Oh, he just saw me move and got scared. There's often two little lovebirds or pigeon doves.
Yeah.
That sit on that ledge right there, but I've never seen a crow land there.
No, I haven't either.
This is important information for our listeners.
It's making me nervous.
Okay. Well, he left, Jeff. It's okay. Another guy who did a good job would be KJ Britt. Mm-hmm. He had 3 special teams tackles. In this day and age, players sometimes don't get 3 special teams tackles in 3 months,
right?
Because there's very few kickoff returns, and there's a lot of fair catches.
Sure.
So 3 special teams tackles. He has 6 over the past 3 games. So you can see who's emerging as the core of our special teams units, and that would be him, Josh Hayes, the rookie corner, Cam Gill, and Servassier Dennis, now that he's back from his injury. Those are the guys that played the most in this last game, along with Zion McCollum, who went back to playing a ton because they didn't need him on defense. Although he did get 2 snaps and made a tackle. I don't remember when that happened. Mm-hmm. But that's another thing. Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean were healthy and active together for the first time since week 1. So Zion, who did really a nice job for 3 games as a starting corner, was back to basically just playing special teams. But he'll be needed again at some point.
Fun fact, if a crow's at your window.
There really is something?
If the crow, it makes noise in the east direction, it's considered...
what?
It's considered...
Aren't you reading it? Just read it.
Well, it says, I'm jumping through it. If a crow is at your window and you're leaving on a trip or a tour, It means that you're going to have a good trip.
Okay. What was this thing about facing east? Because it was facing west.
Auspicious. It's auspicious if the crow is facing east.
But he was facing west.
He was this way, so that would be he was facing north.
First off, before he looked at us, he was facing west. That way, which is due west.
Correct. And then he was facing north.
Does it say anything
or
about
south,
west?
Nope.
Okay.
Which is good.
So he dodged a bullet, but we didn't also get the auspicious thing.
Yeah.
But we're not going on a trip for 9 more days anyway. So
Right.
We'll see when the next crow lands. I'll keep track of that.
Oh,
from now
wait
on.
a second. Here's another one.
Oh boy.
Have you ever seen a crow clawing at your window?
Like he just was? Mm-hmm. It's not actually. Well, I guess it is a window. It just can't be opened.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's too long.
Oh.
It's too long.
But it seems bad. Need to know if I have to worry. Do I have to watch my back?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Many people just feel that it's disturbed.
The crow's disturbed?
No, it disturbs you.
Oh, well, yeah. That was kind of disturbing. All right, I think
it says there's no negative repercussions of a crow. So
okay.
All right, we're good. On to the next. Carburetors and crows, not on the bingo card today.
While we're on special teams, Jake Camarda had 2 more punts, 163, 166.
Yep.
He's had a punt of at least 60 yards in every game this season. He's got 8 punts of 60 or more yards, including 2 over 70 already this season in 5 games.
Wow.
Now, last year, as a rookie, he set a record for the Buccaneers with 15 punts in a season that were 60 or more yards.
Flipping the
Do you know what the
field on
record
you.
was before that?
No.
6.
Really?
6 by Josh Bidwell in 2008 or something.
Yeah.
6.
Wow.
Maybe it was 2000. Whatever year he went to the Pro Bowl. Josh Bidwell, who so far is the only Bucs punter to go to a Pro Bowl, but it's hard to imagine Jake Camarda not making a Pro Bowl at some point.
You would think. But
he's leading the NFL in gross.
Uh-huh.
Not in net. We still need to do a little bit of work on coverage and angling and stuff, but he did angle that one out of bounds at their 5-yard line, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Which was really, really good. And then they had to decide whether it was at the 5 or the 2. It became the 5.
It was I heard somebody describing it as that old Price is Right game with the yodeler.
Yeah.
And you don't know when he's going to stop.
Uh-huh. That's well put.
I've heard that before.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find where that punt was, but it's not worth worrying about it. No. So yeah, Jake Camarda, just kicking like no Bucs punter ever has before.
So if I had to ask you, is the arrow pointing up, down, or in neutral for
What's
the
with all
Buc?
what's with all the arrows today?
I don't know. I just
Okay. Well, what?
Up. Is the arrow pointing up, down, or holding steady?
From where?
For the Bucs right now.
From where?
From Sunday's game. Moving forward, your thought.
Oh, so is the next game going to be better than that? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I do too.
We didn't, crucially, as far as I know, unless they haven't told us yet, we didn't have any big new. We had an almost healthy roster, and I didn't see anybody get hurt. We didn't report any injuries.
There was 0 injury reports for the Bucs.
Right. We did not report a single injury. There were no questions about injured players at the Monday press conference.
Other than Baker did hit his hand.
True. He hit his left hand, got hit by a face mask, right? Mm-hmm. But in his press conference, he held up his right hand and he was bleeding on his fingers too. And he was clearly irritated about that hit that was not ruled late on the sideline, because apparently there's a part of that sideline where if you land on it, you get all cut up.
Yep.
I don't know what's down there. Is it the paint or?
Well, it's like a heavy tarp they put over there where the players all stand.
Yeah.
So you're not on the grass.
Okay.
So then if it's raining or whatever, you're not sinking into there.
Okay. Well, something over there is apparently
which
painful to
which I
on.
found interesting, because last night there were a lot of roughing the passer plays, which were they have to call it because that's the rule. But it becomes judgmental, and he was on the sideline, and the question was he? I thought he was. It was obvious that he was going out. He was a step. His foot didn't land yet, but he was a step out of bounds. But if a guy,
I think,
tricks you and all of a sudden goes upfield, then that's
I think the argument from the Lions' point of view would be, if you slow down the replay, it does appear as if his hands make contact with Baker's body before Baker's out of mid.
Okay.
Now, in real time, it's probably a millisecond. And like you said, it's very clear that he's headed out of bounds, so you don't really need to help him.
Right.
You certainly don't need to push him hard.
No.
And
both were done.
And Baker was the one that was there, not me. Mm-hmm. So I think I trust his opinion. And
he's not a guy that sounds. To me,
not a complainer.
Yeah, he's not a whiner about I'm getting hit.
The fact that he didn't like it just gives you a little insight. Now he couldn't say much about that,
and he didn't.
He said, "I don't want to get." He didn't want to get fined, so he didn't really say much.
Smart,
but he clearly did not like that lack of a call.
No, I understand. I wouldn't either. I didn't like it at the time.
But to get back to the point, I think the roster's in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get Cansey more involved on defense. Maybe that will be a thing that helps us with these third down issues.
And the last game, Sunday's game against the Lions, no turnovers.
Yeah, we had one, the tip pass. Oh, you mean we didn't get any?
We didn't get any.
Right, which is unusual for this defense, except for a big, long stretch last year. But, so you play an Atlanta team that, no offense to Atlanta, but if you ask me who is the better team, who's playing better right now, Detroit or Atlanta?
Right. Detroit.
It's Detroit, right?
Yeah, they're playing lights out.
So I said Atlanta team, and I'm sure they feel the same way about us. It's a team that I believe the Buccaneers can beat. Doesn't mean they will. Doesn't mean they can play badly and do so.
No, they were at Atlanta's game. They were in it until the very end.
Yeah, I think they probably have exceeded expectations this year
too. They played very, very strong. They're struggling. Their young quarterback is struggling.
He had some good stuff in that game, but then threw some critical interceptions at the end.
Yeah.
And their backup is Taylor Heineke, who I don't think the Bucs want to see Taylor Heineke.
No, we were talking about that at lunch the other day. He's a buck killer, you know.
Well, I mean, we did win the game in the playoffs,
but we certainly make him look good.
Yeah, we won that game, but he had a great game, and then they beat us the following year, like 20-19, and he was the quarterback.
Yeah.
But anyway, it doesn't sound like they are switching off Ritter right now.
I think what I would like to, well, everybody wants to see this, but what I'm waiting for is consistent games back to back. And I think the Minnesota, Chicago were pretty consistent, both wins.
Minnesota was a little bit of an ugly win.
Yeah, but it was the first game of the year, and it showed their tenacity to
yeah, but then I see what you mean. A roller coaster since then.
Yeah.
Handled Chicago well.
Yep.
Got beat pretty handily by Philly.
Yep.
Handled New Orleans very well.
Yep.
That's probably our best game so far.
Yep. And so I was looking for that.
Of course, that's what every coach wants.
Right.
Well, the next two are Atlanta and Buffalo. At Buffalo.
Yeah, well.
So those are tests.
That would be, that's why not everyone, but many people feel that you definitely have to get Sunday because a lot of folks aren't giving you a chance on Thursday night.
You don't believe that?
Oh, no, it's too early. It's way too early.
It's always good to see one of your all-time greats have another vintage performance. And, of course, I'm talking about
Lavonte David. Boy, he played lights out.
He was great.
Yeah.
And I don't quite understand what they mean, but the PR department in their notes after the game, because they said, so here's Lavonte had 12 tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for loss, a quarterback hit, and a pass defense.
Yeah.
And they said that's the first player to have that sort of stat line since, I don't know when it was 2018, but I don't know what they're saying. 12 exactly that, at least 12 tackles, at least a sack, etc. But in any case, that combination of stats doesn't happen a whole lot. You're really filling up a stat line there.
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
he had the pass defense was a fantastic play. Do you remember that one down the sideline? It was like 3rd and 1 near midfield, and they tried. You expect a short pass,
and
they tried to trick us and go over the top to the tight end, Laporta, who's a good looking young player, and Lavonte somehow kept pace with him, and Laporta spun around near the sideline, had his hands extended, high pointing the ball like you're supposed to, got the ball into his hands, and then Lavonte got it out.
Yeah. So
it was a great play.
He's playing like he's playing for a contract.
I mean, technically.
He is, yeah, but I'm saying. But to play his 11th year?
12th.
12th year? Okay. To be playing in his 12th year and playing that well reminds me a lot of Rondé Barber, how he takes care of his body, keeps going.
Kind of like Mike Evans as well.
Yeah, right. What else you got on that big yellow pad?
Well, it's interesting. We're talking about playing Atlanta, and it's a battle for first place.
Oh, it is.
At least a share of it. We'll know by then because New Orleans plays Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So if New Orleans has already lost, then take them out of the equation. Mm-hmm. But if the New Orleans has won, they will be 4-3. And so if the Bucs beat Atlanta, they'll stay a half game ahead at 4-2.
Because New Orleans hasn't had a bye.
And then Atlanta, who also hasn't had a bye, if they win, they would tie New Orleans for first, and we'd be a half game back.
Yep.
So it will be interesting to see if both of these teams can remain. I mean, by their records right now, they're contenders.
Yeah, and if you look at New Orleans and you look at Atlanta right now, they're talking about, hey, we're only a half a game out of first place.
Right. And if you all remember last year, at the 8th game mark, 8 weeks into the season, Atlanta was actually in first at 4-4, and we were 3-5. It turned around after that.
Yeah.
But this is kind of similar. It'll be interesting. As it turned out, though, at the end of that season, it wasn't a competition to see if a couple of those teams could get in because everybody was below 500. And so you had to either win the division title or you weren't
getting going anywhere.
So, but if this time, if several of these teams can continue winning a little bit more, maybe we'll get two teams from the division into the playoffs.
Which would be nice.
If it's Atlanta and Tampa Bay, how many times do you think Atlanta and Tampa Bay have been in the playoffs in the same year?
None.
That's incorrect.
Okay. 1.
Close.
2.
Yes, 2. 1980.
See how fast I am with this.
1982, which is a bit.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought about that. Jerry Glanville's team in 1982.
I thought he was more like the 90s.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say 92 or 82?
82.
Oh,
1982.
That was.
You really remember what Atlanta did?
Well, Leon Bennett. What was his name?
Lehman Bennett.
Lehman? No. Yeah.
You talking about the Bucs coach?
Well, he was Atlanta coach before he was a Bucs coach.
Okay.
In fact, he was Atlanta's coach, then sold RVs, and then became the Bucs coach.
1982 was the final of his 6 years as the Falcons coach. And then you're right. And then we hired him in 85 to follow John McKay. Yeah. He lasted 2 years.
Do not tell me how I know that. Now that I think about that.
So the 1982 was the season where the NFL had a strike, and there were only. And
no, you keep saying 92, 82.
I do not keep saying 92. I keep saying 82.
You know that commercial where you throw the red flag?
Yeah.
Okay.
But will you be able to? I know you'll go back and listen to this afterwards.
And I will say I'm sorry.
Okay. And also check each time from the beginning of this. I don't think so, but I may have slipped and said 92 once.
Okay.
But I believe I've said 82 the majority of the time. Believe me, listeners, he will check this. This has happened before.
41 mark. Continue.
41 mark?
Yeah.
Where 40, it is.
Yeah, where it is.
That was the year where there was a strike, and so 7 games were canceled, and so it was a 9-game season. And they did the thing where they, instead of doing it by divisions, they called it a Super Bowl tournament, and they just threw all the teams into standings in their conferences, and the top 8 teams in each conference made the playoffs. And now he's on the phone again.
No, I'm not. I'm listening to you. You said
when you start going, and I can see you typing on your phone.
Yes, I am multitasking, Scott, because what you're saying is so riveting right now.
You can leave anytime you want. I'll finish it up.
Come on, keep going.
There's a door.
Oh, wow. You're getting a little salty there.
So 8 teams made the playoffs. The Bucs were 5-4, and so was Atlanta, and they both made the playoffs. The only other year was 2002, our first Super Bowl season. Remember, that was Michael Vick was becoming a superstar.
Oh, right.
They made the playoffs. I think they beat Green Bay, didn't they? Didn't they go up to Green Bay and beat Green Bay with Michael Vick having a great game?
They were a hot team.
Michael Vick was making them a hot team.
Well, yeah, but still,
I'm looking.
But
here.
the Buccaneers did take care of them.
They won at Green Bay, and Green Bay had won the North at 12-4. This was the first year of these new divisions, and then they went to Philly and got pounded by Philly, while we were destroying San Francisco, and then of course everybody knows what happened after that.
Yeah.
So, speaking of teams from the way back in seasons that ended in 2, I don't know if I'll be in the majority in this opinion, but this annual 72 Dolphins celebration is one of the dumbest celebrations in sports.
Truly.
Get over it already. The rest of us are over it.
Right.
We know that the Dolphins are the only team to ever go undefeated through the playoffs.
Right.
Thanks to the freaking Giants beating the Patriots. Yeah, I wanted the Patriots to win that Super Bowl so bad.
How many games did the Dolphins win?
14, and then...
how many playoff games? Because what was it? New England was 18-1.
They were 18-0, and then they lost in the Super Bowl.
So that would be 19 and.
They were 18-1.
Okay.
Miami was 14-0, and then they beat Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and then the Super Bowl.
So 17.
So 17 games. So they don't even have the record for most wins.
Yeah, right. So right there, you got it for now. So yeah,
it's just, maybe it's not dumb. It may be the right word is irritating. It's just irritating.
It's their history, so you have to give it to them.
Yeah, so celebrating in front of Dolphins fans, but the rest of us don't care anymore. So I'm marking that one off my sheet, and I don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about that anymore? Okay.
This one, I already did that too. Hey, the Bucs were in the grid yesterday.
They were.
Yeah. You remember what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
The Bucs were in the ultimate grid. Look it up if you haven't heard what I'm talking about. So you had to find a Buck that was also a Giant.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a quick answer?
A Buck that was also at JPP.
Oh, yeah, duh. That's a good one. I went with Ike Hilliard.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Michael Clayton.
Oh, Michael Clayton briefly went to the Giants?
Yep. He was with them when they won their Super Bowl.
Oh, he's got a ring.
Yep.
What about Green Bay? Bucs and Green Bay.
Let's see. Santana Dotson.
Yeah, that one.
Let's see. It was also
Jackie Harris. Remember the time?
I was just going to say Jackie Harris was with them and then came to us. Was it Reggie Cobb? All right, Reggie Cobb.
I think Reggie Cobb did go. He started with us.
He started with us. I think he was a scout for them, or he was a scout for us. But then was he a running back for them too?
I don't think he was ever a scout for us. He was a scout for several teams.
Uh-huh.
Rest in peace. He played one season in Green Bay, played one game for Jacksonville, and then played one season with the Jets.
Okay.
Reggie Cobb, who in 1992 ran for 1,171 yards and 9 touchdowns.
Wow.
The guy I went with was, do you remember Pookie?
Pookie.
Vince Pookie Workman. His nickname was Pookie.
Oh, yeah,
Vince Workman, a running back.
Yeah.
He played for them and then for us.
Okay.
And then finally, a Buck who is also a Super Bowl champ. So obviously there's a billion answers. You could just say Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to try to think of more obscure ones. So I went with Jack Golden.
Wow.
Who was a reserve linebacker on the 02 team. And the only reason I always think of his name is because there's a little trivia. Who's the last person to touch the football? No. What's in the Super Bowl? In that Super Bowl win.
I have no idea. How would you know?
Well, because I've done trivia for decades now, had to give people who want me to write them trivia questions. Maybe it's not touch the ball. Maybe it's the last one mentioned in the play-by-play or something. Because we had the we had Dwight Smith's second pick six, and after the play there was only a few seconds left, 2 seconds left. So we kicked off, and then Jack Golden made the special teams tackle.
Oh,
so he was the last player to be listed in the official play-by-play. Jack Golden, a linebacker.
Jack Golden.
Claim to fame. Jack Golden, if you're listening, you may not have even known that.
No.
But now you do.
I do, and I'll remember it.
So that was my ultimate grid story. Did you see that they are bringing flag football to the Olympics?
I did in Los Angeles.
In 2028, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really good news. I would personally love to see flag football continue to grow and grow and grow.
It is. It's growing great.
I can tell you as a guy who played it, obviously recreationally, intramurals and then adult leagues for 25 years, something like that. It's a really fun game.
I think what's going to be fun is watching how many people are in the NFL, and by 2028 they retire from the NFL or they're not playing in the NFL anymore, but they are playing in flag football.
You think that former NFL players are going to be who they go to?
I think that there will be some that will go, only because that competitive nature, right? And if you are at a level in the NFL and for whatever reason you're not in it anymore, but you decide you want to play flag football and you can, yeah.
So the question is, by the time we get to 2028, will the game have grown enough? And I assume they have men's and women's.
Yeah.
Well, the game.
I would think, or is it mixed? I don't know.
No, I would imagine there's a women's competition because women's flag football
has grown,
and in high school, girls flag football is really growing, and the Buccaneers are doing a lot to make that happen.
Yeah, it is very exciting.
That's a big initiative for this team.
You know, when they have all the ladies here playing, I love going out back and watching that.
It's cool.
It's great, very good.
So it's a lot of fun if you're a parent of young kids looking for a sport to put them in. I highly recommend flag football. We did that for years. It was so much fun. The kids love it. And the nice thing, if you're somebody who wants your kid to play in those youth tackle football leagues, more power to you.
Yeah.
We never considered that with our son. He never really expressed any interest in it, to be fair.
Sure.
But we felt like flag football was a really nice alternative. For one thing, in most leagues, you have everybody that is on the field is eligible to touch the ball. You know, in real football, a lot of people don't ever get to run with the ball.
No.
And that's true even of youth leagues. I think a lot of teams have one or two players that are like really good, and they get the ball all the time,
right?
Which is fine for that sport. But these kids come over to flag football, and everybody gets to touch the ball.
Yeah.
And depending on what leagues you're in, there's even rules about how much everybody gets to be involved. So everybody gets to play. Multiple people get to throw the ball, run the ball, catch the ball. I can tell you, it was so much fun with my son and his friends, and like most of the core of that team are all still like great friends.
Yeah, I played flag football in junior high school.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
they had it back then.
We had it back then, and it was it was each grade. I mean, and there's competition. It was a big deal. That was great.
My son's playing up at Georgia Tech right now.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
it'll be fun to watch.
By 2028, are they going to get their pool of Olympians from like people who are actually playing this sport in leagues?
I don't
or
know.
Is it going to be like you said,
both
actual tackle football players?
The only reason why I say that is it's kind of like basketball, right? When basketball made it to the Olympics,
they had the dream team.
They had the dream team
of current players,
correct,
and the biggest stars in the game,
correct.
That doesn't happen anymore.
No.
NBA, the basketball's gone away from that. Mm-hmm. It's generally like a mix of college players and
guys
former
that play
NBAs or reserves.
Oh, sure. Well, and that's what I'm saying. If you're tapping the talent pool. Now, if you played professional sports, you're allowed to go into the Olympics if you're not continually playing, correct? I always thought Olympic sports was amateurs, but until when they did basketball, they weren't amateurs.
I guess they don't have those rules anymore.
I guess not. Because
NHL, NBA players play.
Yeah. But see, that was the whole thing about the Olympics. It was amateurs. It was amateurs, right.
You lost your amateur status, you couldn't be in the Olympics.
But
that's not the case anymore.
I don't believe it is. No.
I mean, we know it's not for at least some sports because we just cited the examples.
Right, and so that's why I think that
that's a really interesting topic for me now, and I hadn't thought about it. Where are what pool of people are the players for this Olympic team going to come from?
I mean, you may not be as fast as you were when you were in the NFL, but you're faster than the average guy. You might be 38 years old, but you're in great shape, right?
I guess.
Right. Depends.
Could Terrell Owens play on the team right now?
I don't know. We're going to find out. It'll be here before we know it.
I don't know why he couldn't be some current. Maybe they'd be too worried about injuries because he could get hurt even in non-contact.
I think a lot of contracts now have where you
can't do certain things.
You can't do this. You can't do that.
But I mean, there was an era where the star NBA players played, and they could have gotten hurt.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of priorities. Maybe it's. The NFL's priority would be putting some of its great players on a world stage like that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's flag football. I doubt they would ever have tackle football in the Olympics. And right now there would be no country that would have any chance to compete against.
Yeah.
It's like the NFL. Do they have cricket in the Olympics? If they do, I would imagine that the United States has never come close to competing in that one.
I don't think it is. I
feel like there's some Winter Olympic sports, like certain kinds of skiing and lugeing and so on, that the U.S. pretty much never medals in. There's certain countries that are really head and shoulders above others in certain sports, and that would obviously be the case for tackle football.
Yeah, funny, watching Monday Night Football last night, they were talking about the Olympics flag football, and they were doing a lot of promos on it. I'm sure it's on NBC or rather ABC, because they were really promoting it a lot. But it made me. That's where I started thinking, I wonder if it will be former players. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah.
Here's another note.
What you got?
So remember we were talking about Baker,
mm-hmm.
and he said after the game, I sucked. And I think we can, even just by the stats, can say it was his least successful start so far as a Buccaneer.
Uh-huh.
But his body of work is still, in my mind, pretty impressive, even with that game included. And there's one area in particular where Baker, I don't know if anecdotally you probably know this is true and you've seen enough that you won't be surprised that I'm saying this, but how stark it is in the stats, and that is throwing under pressure. He's been fantastic. He's played really great under pressure, but you're nodding your head saying yes, but I bet you will be surprised at these numbers.
Of how good he is?
Of how good he has been under pressure so far this season.
Go ahead.
Have you ever heard of EPA?
I have.
And it stands for?
Don't know.
Expected points.
Go ahead.
You're like trying to do that thing where I start talking and you say it at the same. Expected points added. It's a complicated stat. I'm not going to lie.
It's very complicated.
It's kind of like.
I've heard of it before.
I would describe it for me as being kind of like WAR in baseball, in that I know the overall idea of what it means, and I know that there's a lot of different numbers that combine to create WAR, and I know how to use WAR to compare one player to another. I don't really know how all the ingredients that go into the sauce, though.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I will tell you that this is a next-gen stat. It is expected points added is derived from the next-gen stats expected points model, which measures how each play potentially affects the score of the game relative to the situation. EPA is the change in the expected points value from pre-play to post-play. So you might have a 50-yard pass that goes from your 40 to their 10, right?
Right.
You didn't score in that play, so you didn't actually add any points. But because of the results of the play, the team will be expected to have more points because now you're in position to score. Mm. If you had lost 15 yards on a stack, that would probably be a negative EPA play because you're less likely to score points now. So good. If you're on offense, big numbers are good.
Yeah.
And
big numbers are good.
Positive numbers are good. If you're on defense, negative numbers are good. If you look at all the quarterbacks so far, all of them that have started more than one game, because what's his name? Andy Dalton's on there, but he's only started one game. If you look at all of them and sort by EPA while under pressure, Baker Mayfield's EPA total this year under pressure 9.4. Now,
wow.
You say wow, but you can't. You don't really have the context yet, because 9.4. If the best quarterbacks in the league have 50 EPA right now, then 9.4 is terrible.
Do they have 50?
The number one player on the list is Baker Mayfield. 9.4 is the best total of EPA so far this season, and he's only played 5 games because they do have EPA per dropback or EPA per game, but EPA, like WAR, is a counting stat, so it grows. As you do more, it adds.
Wow.
And so he has the most total EPA, expected points added, on plays under pressure of any quarterback in the league, even though he's played one fewer game than most of the league's quarterbacks. The next guy on the list is Josh Allen at 3.4. 9.4 down to 3.4. The next player on the list is Tua Tagovailoa, negative 0.2. There's only 2 quarterbacks in the whole league producing positive EPA when under pressure, and Baker Mayfield's number 1. I dropped my pen because I didn't have a mic to drop.
Well, you do, but you'd have to take your headsets off.
I know. I didn't think you'd want me to do that.
That's a good call on your part because that would make me mad.
I know. I've seen this because remember when we used to do training camp up in Orlando.
Yep.
And we stayed at the Celebration Hotel, and the favorite gathering spot in the evening was the
Town Tavern,
Boston-based place, and they had karaoke one night. We were over there doing karaoke, and I won't name a name, but a former Buck employee, I'll tell you, but a former Buck employee who is a friend of ours,
did he
sing a song.
Did he sing Closing Time?
No.
Oh.
And I don't remember what the song was, but at the end of it, he held the mic out in front and went, "Sexual chocolate," and dropped the mic, which I believe is from the movie Trading Places. I think a guy that, not Trading Places, Coming to America.
But they were not happy.
Oh, the guy who sets that up was so mad. He's like, "This is how I make," and he's right.
Yeah,
he's
this
right.
is how I
this
make
is how I make a living. And
living.
you just drop my equipment on the floor. What if you break it? Now I have to pay money to get another one.
Yeah.
So
Fair.
I don't think this person was very chastened by this.
No.
I don't think he felt too
bad about it.
Too bad about it.
Didn't
But
shake him up.
don't say his name. This is who it was. So, good dude. And it was a funny joke, but the guy running the karaoke stuff did not like it.
Yeah. Hey, here's some craziness. A former Buccaneer just signed with the Eagles.
I know who it was.
Who was it?
Julio Jones.
Yes.
He didn't just do it. You're just finding out about it.
Well, it's an hour ago.
Yeah, Julio Jones back in the game.
Back in the game.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't see why the Eagles needed another receiver. To be honest with you, though.
I was trying. Well,
did they have some injuries or something?
I don't know. He ends up getting back with his Titans guy.
What? A.J. Brown.
A.J.
Brown.
Yep, A.J. Brown, who pushed for him to get. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So, well, maybe they know
He didn't
something.
do much in Tennessee. He was hurt the whole time.
No. And he struggled here. He was hurt
with
a great
injuries,
deal.
Yeah. He's obviously, let's make sure we know he's a great player.
Oh,
great
Hall
career.
of Famer. No,
You think?
He
straight to Hall of Fame?
I don't know if he gets straight, but you could sure make a really, really good case on it.
Well, that'll be another buck in the Hall if that happens.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, Julio Jones. Next thing you know, who's another guy? Next thing you know, Akeem Hicks will sign with somebody.
Yeah. Well, it's that time of year where,
injuries.
Well, veterans are out there too, and you can sign them, and you don't have. And if you decide you don't want them, you can cut them, and you're not on the hook for full dollars. Yeah, it wasn't week one, so that's good.
I'm trying to see where Julio Jones ranks all time in yards. He is 16th.
Wow.
Right above Torrey Holt, who I think didn't he just get? He's got more than Andre Reed, Steve Largent, who are Hall of Famers. No, Torrey Holt's not in the Hall of Fame. He has more. Julio Jones, even if he never catches another pass, has more receiving yards than Andre Reed, Steve Largent, Art Monk, Charlie Joyner, Michael Irvin, Don Maynard, Calvin Johnson.
Don Maynard, that's with the Jets.
Lance Allworth, Raymond Berry.
Yeah, Lance Allworth was with the Chargers.
Yeah, he was good.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Harold Carmichael? Remember with the Eagles? He was like 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
He's like the tallest receiver ever. Wasn't he really, really, really tall?
Really tall.
I mean, really, really, really? 6'8". How many 6'8" receivers do you see?
You don't.
I mean, Mike's
because I'm only 5'10". I can't.
I think that's got to be one of the tallest receivers ever.
Oh, that's something you need to look up. You're Mr. Stat Guy.
His first name was Lee.
Okay.
It wasn't Harold. Harold was his middle name.
Oh.
People who go by their middle names are generally considered very intelligent.
Yes, Scott. I know. You're brilliant.
That's Roger Scott to you.
What else you got?
I don't know, man. Do we need to? I thought the kind of most surprising soundbite I heard from another team was. Did you hear Robert Saleh, the Jets coach,
on saying?
He was happy. Obviously, he was
Very
feeling it after they beat Philly and gave Philly their first loss, and obviously that means they beat Jalen Hurts. And he said something along the lines of, "We haven't won all of them, but we've embarrassed every quarterback we've faced."
Whoa,
that's a pretty strong statement for a coach to make. The word "embarrassed."
Wow,
I'd walk that back personally a little bit.
Yeah. Well, he's feeling his oats right now.
I guess, but they're 3-3.
Yeah. But they've played well.
They have a great defense. Full stop. They have a great defense. Zach Wilson.
Hot and cold.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not a total disaster every game.
Is he serviceable? That's going to be the big question. But Aaron Rodgers was out on the field.
He's trying to make it back. Yeah.
But that's crazy.
Can't imagine that would be towards the very end of the season.
You can't rush that back.
Well, I mean, yeah, and they got to stay. Like everybody was shocked a couple years ago. When was it Cam Akers? It was a running back for the Rams, tore his Achilles in like August, and somehow made it back for the last couple games. But still, I mean, that was amazing. But you see the timetable. Even if Aaron Rodgers makes it back to a game, it's got to be at the very end, right?
Yeah, and boy.
So the defense and Zach Wilson have to get him there, or it's not going to matter.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just so scary because at his age, if you tear it up again that quickly, if you come back too soon, then it hurts you for next year. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know much about Achilles injuries.
You know what? The only person that can make that decision is Aaron Rodgers because he knows his body.
I don't know much about Achilles injuries except it was gross to see like them do it slow-mo and watch it like snaking up his leg. That was really gross.
That's not good.
I don't want to see that.
No, I didn't need to see that. That's true. All right. What else you got?
I don't know. I think I've done enough.
All right. Let's run down. Let's see if we can find someone in the locker room. What do you think of that?
Okay, and then we'll do that, and then we will answer some fan questions.
The Salty Dogs.
And we're back here on the Salty Dogs podcast. That trip downstairs was a success.
Wow, the locker room
Not
was
the locker room.
No.
The dining room.
Yes.
We have with us now, we are very pleased and grateful that Lavonte David has taken some time with us. Thanks, Lavonte.
Yeah, man. Anytime is a pleasure.
He says
anytime,
that
as long as we don't ask again for 2 more years. Okay, just give us a big picture look at how you think the season is going, especially on defense. What's going well on defense?
For the most part, I feel like creating takeaways and things like that, stopping the run, getting back to our MO, and other things we got to get better at. But for the most part, we get back to what we do best, and that's stopping the run and creating takeaways.
Are you having fun?
Oh, of course. I'm having fun. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does that impact how you think about next year and the year after?
Not really.
Are you thinking about that yet?
No,
because
not
Bucs
really.
fans want to know that.
Yeah, nah, not really. I just take it, one day at a time. I'm always. You never know, man. You never know what the future holds. You never know what's going to happen. Still got a lot of football left to play. And, in this game, the way we play, man, anything can happen. But right now, I'm just taking it all in. One day at a time, enjoying this year. Like I said, man, I'm having fun. Having a lot of fun. Being out there with the guys, just being on the football field, just does something to me, just seeing the crowd, seeing the fans, and then seeing my family, after the game and stuff like that. It's a great feeling. But to answer your question, yes, I'm definitely having fun.
The reason why I asked that question is Scott and I were talking earlier, and I said, Lavonte's playing like he's in a contract year. And then we both paused and started laughing because basically,
technically.
technically. I mean,
basically, yeah.
Right?
I've sometimes told you when you've hit statistical, milestones. Yeah. I think I'm off the top of my head, I think you're up to about 4th in games started in team history.
Okay.
I mean, have you thought about the fact that when it's all said and done, when they start listing the greatest Buccaneers of all time, you're going to be top 5?
Yeah.
Your name's going to be up on that stadium at some point.
I have thought about that type of stuff, but I don't. People bring it to my attention.
Okay.
Like you said, when you bring it up, my agent bring it up a couple times. Siblings bring it up.
Good agent.
Siblings bring it up and stuff like that. But I don't really, I just take it as me just going out there and doing what I love to do. Like my agent be like, man, you too humble, man. You know who you are. You're like, but I'm like, nah, I don't see it like that, man. I'm just regular human, live my life just like everybody else, but I have a couple, perks in my life. So, I just, try to put my hard hat on, which is an actual hard hat, a helmet. Yeah. So, and then go out there and work every day. But I don't take it for granted at all. I'm definitely a blessing, to be in this position and be able to.
Who was like this? Your description of yourself reminds me of Leroy Selman.
Oh, Leroy Selman.
Yeah. Okay. And DB's right up there too, but one of the most Bucs fans that have been around for a while. He's maybe the greatest Buccaneer of all time. Mm-hmm. Very much the same way.
Very quiet, like
and
you are.
I think that's why he's still so popular in this area. Mm-hmm. Like people around here are never going to feel Leroy Selman.
Right.
So I think you're doing it the right way, man.
I mean, shoot. When I first got here, that's all they talked about, Leroy Selman, the ultimate Buck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, what he did in the community, and how he was as a person. Mm-hmm. And then that carried over to when they talk about DB, talk about him in the same way. How he was in the community, how much of a humble guy he was. Was a guy who always first to lend a hand, never was a jerk to nobody. So, that just goes back to, your upbringing and how you was raised. And, I feel like, those guys kind of like set that mold for me. And luckily, I can follow in their footsteps.
Kind of like handing the torch
from
one era to another. Leroy Selman was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 95, which is the same year we drafted Derek. And then Derek went in around 13 or 14, so it was very early in your career. So it's kind of neat, the parallels there.
Right. What's the as you look back from your first year and here you are in your 12th year.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference for you?
The biggest difference, I'm more calmer now, I would say. I'm not as, I just, like, I let the game come to me.
Okay.
As far as on the field and stuff like that. And where back then I used to be antsy, just trying to make a play, forcing stuff. Even though I made some plays, but a lot of times I had a lot of MEs too. But, now it's just like I don't exert myself as much as I was back then, like taking care of myself on the field. It's like the film study. I know, like when I know what's coming, I can anticipate stuff even sooner and stuff like that. And then, back then where it's just I used to just read and react. You know what I'm saying? But now I use my read and react, and also with the smarts of studying film and stuff like that, it definitely goes a long way. And stuff like that, prevents you from getting injured and stuff like that too. But and then I just look at it as like people say I'm the oldest guy on the team, but I don't feel that way. You
don't play that way.
I just feel like I'm just one of the guys. Probably like a couple weeks it did settle in on me. I'm like, dang. I really am the oldest person on the team,
Yeah. Probably when everybody started talking about the throwbacks.
Yeah,
he's the only guy who played it before.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly when it
was. That's what it was. Yeah,
and you had to tell them how to dress properly with those creamsicle uniforms,
dress
right?
It up. Yeah,
show them how it's done.
Yeah, I said when I wore them though, these was all like lick on. They weren't stitched. They were just a jersey you just threw on. Yeah, so it was definitely cool to wear them too last past week.
Well, let's talk about a young guy now on that defense who's just getting started. Kalijah Cansey just had his first full game. To me, it looked pretty impressive. You had to obviously up front look at it. What did you think?
Yeah, very impressed, man. Kalijah been itching to get out there from the beginning. You seen the way he moved in OTAs. Then, when we played the Vikings, he made a couple plays. Yeah. Given the 11
snaps.
Yeah. So he's definitely itching to get out there, man. And, I just feel like that's part of what we need and what we're missing. So now, we guys just stay healthy. I think we're, putting last Sunday aside. I think we could be get back to where we want to be.
Well, that would be. And you only got a couple minutes here, so I just want to ask about the Falcons real quick because beating the Falcons would obviously be a huge step towards another division title and maintaining first place. I saw a stat. Obviously, they like to run the ball out. I saw a stat that more than 75% of their runs go outside the tackles. And I'm sure you've been looking at film study.
Yeah.
Who are the most important defenders that have to really get their assignments right when you're talking about a lot of outside runs?
Yeah, us, linebackers.
The linebackers.
Yeah, because, the way when you get the outside runs, those inside linemen, the offensive linemen, they climb up to the inside backers to cut them off from getting outside.
Okay.
So for us, we got to be able to anticipate things, kind of, like cheat our alignments here and there. So when those guys come up, we got to be able to be quick to get off them and make the plays and stuff like that. So the interior and the inside linebackers are going to be like a huge key because when those guys climb up like that too as well, we're expecting those defensive linemen to not get cut out their gaps and be able to climb up and, replace. But definitely the inside backers and interior guys is going to be the ones who flow and have to make those plays outside.
I feel like when I picture Lavonte David highlights in my head, I picture Atlanta in the stadium in Atlanta and those plays like this where you're around the middle of the field and you're making the right angle to the outside and getting guys down 1 or 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So I'm glad we have you for this game.
Yeah. Is that the Falcons' strength, the running game? Would you say that's their biggest strength?
Yeah, they do it, and they do it really well. You know what you're going to get, and they're going to do it until you stop it.
Okay.
And they have the talent to do it. They had Tyler Algier last year. They got the rookie Bijan Robinson.
He's
very,
looking,
very,
What's he look like on tape?
Very, very good. Don't look like no rookie, I'll tell you that.
Really? Yeah, he's kind of good at that start-stop thing,
man. Right? He kind of reminded me of little Damian Thompson.
Oh, really?
Holy moly!
Yeah.
Wow.
He went big time on that one.
Yeah, really good player. Going to be a great player in this league for a long time.
Awesome. Well, I promise you this would be 10 minutes, and we're very grateful for your time, so I'm going to let you go right now.
Well, you got 60 seconds.
We'll give him an extra minute.
Oh, I don't know. It's Lavonte.
You got one more question?
Other than thanks a lot, we always appreciate you taking the time to do this. And you don't always do a lot of media, but you do the Salty Dog, so that's most important, right?
Yeah, I got to do it for y'all, too.
Yeah, we're all old-timers here.
Yeah, we're going to stick it together. We're all in our last contract year.
My rookie year, you took me under your wing, so I owe you.
He always mentions that, by the way.
Well, you did a radio show, and you really didn't want to, but we, as you said, I was very persistent. But as because people above me were very persistent.
I've heard this story a lot.
Yeah, it was. He cut that into my going home time.
Yes, I did. Yes, I
All right,
did.
man, we're not going to do that, so we'll let you go. Thanks a lot.
The Salty Dogs.
And we're back here one more time on the Salty Dogs podcast. I'm Scott.
I'm Jeff.
But now you're involved.
I am.
No, I mean the people
are.
listening.
Yes.
At least some of the people listening.
They are. They're back.
I've been saying for weeks now that we've been getting tons of questions and we love it. Mm-hmm. Not so much this week. I guess there's not as much inspiration after a loss.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So,
and, people do have lives.
I think one of them is from somebody we've never had a question from before.
Okay.
I always like that.
That's cool.
All right. First of all, from Alexander in Brazil, who the subject line of his email is 3-2. So Sam Weich would have liked him.
I would have.
Ahoy, salty ones. Hope this finds you both well.
It does.
Oh, he must have been writing this while watching because, oh boy, those creamsicles are gorgeous.
Oh.
I had no idea how great they looked on game day. I've never seen a live game with them sporting those because you don't get much of Bucs games in Brazil TV when TB12 is not on the TV.
Right. And
the team.
Yeah.
It was something.
It was.
Hope they keep using it once every season, which I think we would.
Yeah, you would. Yeah. It makes it fun. Something different.
I guess the bye week was good to get us healthier, but it kind of took away some offensive groove on third downs.
Yeah, very observant.
I was very impressed with our pass blocking, and it should only get better, right?
Right.
They are a very young line playing in a new system with a first-time OC and played 2 5-1 teams that are really that good. Cansey and Lavonte David played great ball. Really excited for them. What do you guys think about our run defense? Is it back to Todd Bowles' stand? I'm not sure what that word is. Or was it just the Lions giving up on running because of injuries? No. I mean, they were hit. I hope there's not anybody out there that gets tired of me throwing out like next-gen stats.
Yeah.
But on average, they were hit. The Rams' backs, no matter who it was, were made contact with by a defender 0.7 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Wow.
So yes, I imagine their overall effectiveness by the end of the game had something to do with David Montgomery being out and the fact they didn't have Jahmyr Gibbs. But no matter who they tried to run the ball, the Bucs defense was getting it done against a team that was averaging 141 yards coming in.
Yeah, and they were also, the week before they put 40 points on the board. And
they didn't have Jahmyr Gibbs for that game either.
All right.
So, no, I think that was a legitimately good performance by the defense, the run defense. What's the rest of this? Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. The thing about the offensive groove, especially on third downs, I got to believe there's something to that because Coach Bowles made a point of saying it, that he thought we played like we were coming off a bye week, and he used the word sluggish. And
I don't.
You don't know why that happens.
No, but we've seen it before, not only on this team but other teams too.
And it's weird, and the problem is you get asked why, and nobody can really say why. Because they'll note, I don't know, because it seemed like we practiced well. I thought there was plenty of effort.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't that there wasn't effort. He did say that. It was sluggishness, but it wasn't because of effort.
Yeah, what I'm saying is if you're judging at the end of the week, the preparation week, well, we practiced well, the players played hard or practiced hard, the execution was good, and then you go and you have a clunker, and then you're asked, why did that happen? How do you answer that? I don't know. I don't know why it happened.
If you knew the answer to that, then you wouldn't have it. You wouldn't have clunkers, right? So
or sluggish games. Okay. Now one from Daniel DeMaria, who I don't think we've heard from before. Apparently he's from Eastlake, Florida.
Okay.
Ahoy, Salty Dogs. Even though we lost, it was great to see Ray J in the creamsicle. I was at the game, good for you, and had a great time.
Yeah, see, that's what I want to hear. Had a great time.
I have 2 quick questions for you guys. My first one is, which NFC South opponent is the biggest threat to us? My other question is, is it there that if we win the South again, we host an NFC East team, or is it too soon to know for sure? It's too soon.
Oh, way too soon. Way too soon.
Okay, so the first question, who do you think's the biggest threat in this division? We can rule out Carolina, right?
Well, I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna rule out Carolina.
So,
but
we're choosing between the Saints.
I'd say the Saints and Atlanta. Yeah, and you'll know more. I mean, you're up 1 on the Saints right now, so that's a plus. After Sunday, if you can be up 1 on Atlanta, that's very solid.
I feel it might seem weird to say New Orleans since we already beat them and beat them pretty handily.
But
I believe in the Saints defense more than the Falcons defense, even though the Falcons defense is playing well right now. They're ranked 4th in yards and something like 14th in points. The Falcons' defense has definitely improved over last year. I still believe in the Saints one a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And not that he's a superstar, but I believe in Derek Carr a little bit more than Desmond Ridder, at least at this point.
Right.
Otherwise, it'd be really hard to pick between those two teams.
Yeah. Well, they're in your division, so they're always a threat.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close.
And, you got to win your divisional games if you want to win, or at least split if you want to win the division.
I may feel differently about
Atlanta.
Ridder after seeing him in person.
Well, that's just
he has a great game.
He's played well, and then he backed up,
which is not unusual for a young quarterback. Yeah. So I don't think the book is written on him yet.
No, the question is, are they going to give up on him quickly? That's going to be the question.
Well, and that'll probably have a lot to do with how much of a contender they are. Mm-hmm. If he plays poorly but they still contend, then you could see them making a move. Mm-hmm. If he plays poorly and they're doing poorly, then you might as well just stick with him because you know what you have in Taylor Heineke. Mm-hmm. If he continues to play well and they're contending, you stick with him.
Right.
Okay. And then, so the Buccaneers, if they win their division, which is the question here, it depends on what seed you are. If you're making odds right now, there's 3 5-1 teams in the NFC, so the best bet is that one of those two would get the one bye. Mm-hmm. So that would mean the Bucs don't have a bye. Things could change, but that would mean the Bucs don't have the bye. So you're either second, third, or fourth. Right now, of the division winners, we would be fourth.
Mm-hmm. It's very similar to last year.
So one place, and then there's 2 wild cards. 7 teams.
Yeah.
So there's 3 wild cards. 2 plays 7. 3. So if we were 4, we would play the first wild card team at home.
Correct. Just like what happened last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we would play the first wild card team right now. I'll say that one more time. Right now?
You mean now?
The first wild card right now would be Dallas.
Yeah.
Great. So if the standings were right now, we'd be playing Dallas.
All right.
Because Philly's in first and they're 4-2. No other team has 4 wins in the NFC other than the 3-5.
Boy, that's a deja vu again from last year.
Yeah, it's almost certainly not going to end up exactly like this. No.
It's week 5, 6 in the NFL. It's week 5.
7. We're in week 7.
Is it week 7?
We've played 6 weeks.
Okay.
5 games.
I get confused. I go by how many games we have.
You get confused pretty easily.
This is true.
All right, this one comes from Mark in Mesa, Arizona.
Okay.
Dogs. Though the game didn't turn out as hoped, the whole throwback celebration seemed to have been quite the success. The stadiums, uniforms, and sideline fan apparel all looked awesome on TV.
Yeah.
What wasn't so awesome? All the fans wearing Lions blue in the stands. It was the latest reminder that the Bucs' age-old visiting team problem is alive and well. Do you think seeing so many visiting team fans in your home stadium would be a bit deflating as a player? I've taken my blood pressure medication, so feel free to add extra salt to the reply. Looking forward to bouncing back against Atlanta. Thanks for doing what you guys do. Mark.
Yeah.
It's possible. I don't think seeing the blue or whatever the opposing color is probably does anything. If the game starts to go badly and that part of the crowd makes a lot of noise, I can't feel good.
No, but they're semi used to it.
I didn't think that this one by vision it looked bad
because you had the orange and the blue
and there was a lot of it on that side across the stadium.
The east side, yeah. There was more on the east side than the west side. Correct.
So it looked bad. I'll agree with that. But I didn't think it ever rose to the level of being annoying like it has been sometimes. No. They didn't. They cheered, but they didn't get crazy loud. They weren't louder than the Bucs side.
No, and one of the things that people will understand, all those people did not get on airplanes and fly down to Tampa. Okay?
Right.
They live here.
A lot of them live here.
They live here.
And they break out their jerseys.
They grew up in Michigan. I love the Bucs. I love the Bucs. They're okay for one game. I'm going to do this, and that's what you see now. Also, the Lions haven't won in a very long time.
That's very true.
And so
their fan base is very excited.
Their fan base is also expanding because now it's cool to root for the Lions. Everybody, it was kind of like in 2020 when the Buccaneers got Tom Brady. All of a sudden, a lot of people were rooting for the Buccaneers that never rooted for the Bucs before. Do we like it? No, but Do I understand it? Yes. Do I think it makes the team win or lose? No, I don't.
Yeah, I agree. Your point is well taken about a lot of fans for the opposing team just being people who live here.
Yeah.
But
I mean, some traveled, but,
the destination does lead probably to more people coming to this game. If you're a Lions fan and you want to go see a game on the road, you're going to come here or you're going to go to Minnesota where you've probably been. You could drive there if you want to.
Yeah.
You're like, let's go to Florida.
Yeah.
And they were treated to a beautiful weekend. It was so nice. The weather has made a turn. It'll probably turn back at some point, but right now it's really nice.
Yeah. The weather was absolutely, you talk about wanting to, if you're thinking about visiting Tampa, that was definitely a day to look at it and go, wow. I mean, it wasn't, for us, it was a little chilly.
Oh, I loved it.
But it was great.
Give me chili.
Well, even
no, really, give me some chili.
Yeah. Oh, we had it for lunch.
I didn't have any of it.
Yeah. I mean, it is funny because
remember I had the chimichurri chicken?
You did.
It was really, really good.
You did talk about that chicken being really, really good.
It's one of the best things I've eaten here.
Wow. So it was a beautiful day, and I thought the orange added a lot to it. I thought it was very cool that they brought the alum on the field during halftime. All the guys that played for the Buccaneers that could make it, they were invited. So it was a great celebration. The hard part was the ending. That's all.
Yeah, the hard part was that the game didn't go great.
No,
but I think for the organization and everybody involved, kudos to them. They did a great job of really celebrating the creamsicle, and the fans loved it.
Yeah. I will say it was. I had to laugh because Dave Moore made the comment that there was. It brought back a lot of memories, and then he just paused, and then he goes, "Good and bad."
So, I was actually kind of impressed about how much orange there was because is this people breaking out stuff they've kept in their closet for years, like you and I did last week, or is everybody buying this gear because it's so pretty to look at?
I think people are buying the gear.
That's good.
Yeah, that's
That's
very
what you
good.
want.
You and me were too cheap. We
I just went back to my old stuff.
We went deep.
I did buy a sweatshirt.
I did. You know what? I like that sweatshirt.
I bought the orange sweat. I saw all the coaches and players or staff on football side were wearing them. I'm like, I want one of those.
Yeah, that is a nice. That is.
They're available at the team store at the stadium.
Yeah. No, it was fun. It was
I'm not even a sweatshirt guy, but I was like, I want that one.
I like sweatshirts.
Most people do. I've just never been a sweatshirt guy.
Yeah, I wasn't until like a couple years ago. Now all of a sudden I'm like, I like it.
It's because you're getting old and you get cold.
Same with a hoodie.
Well, that's a good looking hoodie you got on right there.
Yeah, this is a Buccaneer hoodie.
It's red.
Oh, you know what I like about this one? It's not very thick. It's really thin. So if it's a little chilly out, you go, okay, I'm all right. But if you're inside, it's not like, gosh, it's so hot.
This would be the first time we did this since the end of last week when you and I wore some pretty cool gear, right?
Yeah, before we wore the cool gear.
On Thursday, you came in wearing a starter jacket.
Yep. Logo, LA.
Logo Athletic.
Yeah.
Orange and red and in every different, just a wild-looking jacket that we used to have back then with the tags still on.
Yeah, a very cool T-shirt.
What do you call that where they bunch up at the wrist?
I don't know, but it's like elastic was in there. Like you're a little kid, so you wouldn't lose
it's not a style these days.
No.
And then this is the amazing part. You wore Zubaz pants.
Yes.
On Friday. And you were the head of the building on that day.
I wore those with a Wilson 99 SAP jersey.
That's right.
And that was funny because I was standing Friday after practice waiting for Coach to come in, and the football team,
every single
front
guys
all coming back, and the best was John Spytek said, and it's a Wilson. That's how I know how cool it is. And most people don't know what a Wilson was making a lot of apparel, and now they don't. But that was also a game shirt.
Well, same thing with like Logo Athletic.
Yeah. Ambex.
Was it Logo? There was a company that had a factory or at least a storage place right across from my apartment.
This was all before Nike and
took over.
Yeah.
I on Thursday wore a shirt from the early '90s that was gray and had orange print on the front. It had a football.
It was very, very cool. But the problem with that is
it looked like a college football.
Yeah,
because it had stripes.
Yes,
but it said Orange Pride on the football, and it's a really comfortable T-shirt.
And Friday you did rock it. You had a shirt, and
I had a shirt The color orange wasn't very good.
No.
It was a Bucs shirt, a Bucs logo, and it had my name embroidered on it.
That's what made it.
In script.
It had your name.
And it shows how old and bad my memory has gotten that I don't know why I have a Bucs shirt with my name on it.
Well,
I did have a guess. Did I tell you my theory?
Oh, yeah.
We used to have staff
golf
tournaments with the coach. The staff, coaches
Outings.
including the staff was only like, back then it was only like 30 people or something. So we'd have teams. And that's probably the only time I ever played golf was in those things. But that would be my guess, that they gave us those to wear.
I'd go with that.
I don't know why I would have that.
Well, it was funny because people kept going, and then I would say, "Oh yeah, I have a bathrobe with
you never wore that
the bucket," but I almost did.
We were kind of disappointed that you didn't.
Yeah, well, it could still happen before it's over with.
Okay, but not on throwback week. Well, next year.
Yeah,
there's always next year.
You got to save it. You can't just burn it all at once.
I'm pretty sure I got some orange jackets. I just didn't dig deep. Didn't need a jacket. It wasn't cold. So.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was fun. It was fun. I kind of felt like people were asking me, am I going to wear that stuff to the game and all of that? And basically my line was, the next time I wear this, I'm probably going to have a bag in my hand and say trick or treat, because that stuff's not coming out again for a while.
Are you still trick or treating?
No. No. I gave it up last year. What else? Another?
I'd happily give up Halloween forever.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a fan either.
I hesitate to say it's like one of my least favorite holidays because I don't really even think it should be called a holiday. You don't get any time off. It doesn't celebrate anything.
It wasn't. It was not. It's actually. It's not a holiday.
It's not really.
We made a holiday.
We call it a holiday. Yeah. It's not really a holiday.
Yeah. No, but kids like it and they get candy, and so that's nice.
All right.
Anything else? You got another letter? Or are you done?
No, that's the last one.
All right, very good.
Send us more.
Anything else you got?
No.
Yeah, good job. Good job today.
Oh,
you were on your mark. I appreciate that.
Well, except for maybe if I said 92 when I thought I was saying 82.
Well,
we'll
check.
Me.
No, you probably did. It sounded like 92 to me.
Because it's my accent.
Maybe.
All right, Jeff.
All right. Since you did, thanks for listening.